Hello and welcome to Crafting with Jane. I'm doing a beautiful card today, or hopefully it's going to be beautiful, with the brand new Tracy Evans launch stamps. Now, this is the stamp set that I bought, it's just absolutely lovely. Oh, there's 2 stencils and we're going to be playing with these stencils. It is TE8 Tracy Evans Boutique Designs, and it's a malva, which is common name mallow. Beautiful, beautiful plant. So you've got the flower, large flower, small flower, sort of wreath coming through, Make-A-Wish, malva, and then on here malva, commonly called mallow, genus of annual, biennial and perennial plants. So it's just lovely, and her stamps stamp absolutely beautifully. So I thought I would do for this one, I'm doing a wreath. So as you know, this is no longer available. This was the Stamparatus positioning tool. Any positioning tool will work. I've made a wreath template. Now, I'll try and remember to put the link down below, but any of you who've been a subscriber of mine for a while will actually know about this template, because I use it all the time to do wreaths. So I'm literally just finishing it off because I didn't want you to see all of it. I've done it round once in black, and I'm doing it round again in a neutral. So it goes all the way round, but it's not bright all the way round, which is what we don't want. So I'm using Sahara Sand, which is a Stampin' Up ink, but again, any sort of fairly pale neutral ink will work for this. And then literally I'm just stamping it so that it comes in between, but I don't have to worry about masking. Now, if you let's put this just back up in on there for a minute. If you look at, for those of you that haven't seen before, this positioning tool, or that's what we're going to have to work with. But I need to put this back onto the back, otherwise these magnets are very strong, so if you don't keep them apart, you end up with them clonking together and then they break. So this is the template, just very quickly for those that haven't seen it. And basically you draw, I've done it for 5 inches and 4 inches, and you need grid paper to do it in to work out the actual size. What you can do quite easily is just take a 5-inch piece of paper, mark it on your grid and literally just draw around it, and then take the center point and draw around it that way. So you then have your 2 squares. So as I say, I've done 5 inches, 4 inches, and I've done 3 inches as well. So you can do it whatever size you want, but as I say, look back, it is invaluable, and it works with any positioning tool. So that's what I've started with, and we now have this lovely background in a complete wreath, which I think looks really pretty. So now I can, we could just put a sentiment in there. We could put the we could put this in on the center, which has got the garden, so we could just have that in the center. But I want to use the stencils. So the stencils are absolutely beautiful. I bought 2 of them. And the lovely thing is that you have an outside for doing the stencil, and you then have an inside, and the inside allows you to put the definition and the detail in on there. So you can put an eye in, you can put you know, the highlights in on the legs. So it works absolutely perfectly. Brilliant idea, and you get both of them, and they are really, really inexpensive, but they're just the right sort of size and height. Now I think I'm going to use the little mouse, because I think the little mouse is smaller. I put him there, yes. If I do the little mouse, the little mouse is actually going to come perfectly in the center. So what I want to do to start off with is to give, because I want the mouse, the whiskers, and if you cut it out, because it's nicer to have them cut out, you're not going to get the whiskers cut out. So I'm just going to put him in. Let me just sort of see. I want him to be quite straight. I'm always sort of doing him a bit. Now I'm going to do it this way, because so I don't get him cockeyed. If I put the little mouse in like that, so that's where I want him, like that. Then I can put this in over the top like that, roughly. Then I can take that out and I've got it where I want it. Okay, so I just need to straighten him up a bit, because I'm always doing him so that he doesn't sit quite straight. That's perfect. Okay, so I need to do this in a dark colour. So I'm going to do him in I want a little brown mouse. I think is going to be quite sweet. So I'm taking out some of my brown colours that I've got. And as I say, use whatever inks you've got. I obviously have a lot of Stampin' Up! Ink, so they're the inks that I tend to use. Now, we don't need too much to go in onto the background here, because we are literally just using it as the template. So I'm going to take, let me get some sponge daubers out. And I'm going to take a nice dark brown, putting these out of the way because you don't need to see all my sponge daubers in there. But I've got various different shades of brown. That's the dark one. Okay, so I'm going to have him like that. I'm going to keep him quite... So this is going to give the little whiskers and his little nose. Because that's the important part on that. And then I'm literally just sponging over here because his little tail's going to come out. And his little tail can come all the way over here. Now she's done 3 different stencils. So she's done a bird, she's done the little mouse, who I think is just so sweet, and she's done a hare. And I've done some good ideas for the hare, so I hope you'll anybody who's new, subscribe and come back. I've got over 1,000 videos now, so there's lots for you to see. Okay, so if I take that off like that, that gives us the actual shadow of the mouse, but I want the little mouse to be for him to have sort of more definition and a little bit of height in on there. So I'm going to put him in on, have I got some spare paper in here, or do I need to cut some more? I probably have. I normally have a thing full of spare little bits off the side. That I think will be fine. Okay, so I just need to put the little mouse on here like that. I don't need to do his tail because I've already got it, but I want him to have a little bit more definition and colour coming through. So I want to use, I've got the brown one, and what's in the brown is going to be enough. I want to have this little brown, which is quite nice. So I'm going to put some of this one in. Now you can stick it down. I'm not going to stick it down, so I'm just doing a little bit round the outside. Now you have to be a little bit careful of this little piece down the bottom because it's very, very small between his feet. So if you wiggle it a bit much like that, you then don't get the definition coming through. So I'm just doing round the outside of this in that brown. Then I want to do the a paler brown, so let's put this one in, and this is going to be in, let's use this one. Wait, just need to make sure that so this is a little bit, am I doing it on a different colour? No, I am doing it in the same colour, like this. Like that. So that makes him a little bit paler on there. And then I've got the dark one, which is here, which I think I've probably still got enough on here to work. So this gives him a little bit more definition in on here. So I quite like just having just a little bit of definition in on here, just around the sides. Okay, so if I take that off, you can see on here you've got that sort of light and dark, which I really like. Then put the sponge daubs away. I can take the little mouse and I can take I'm going to use a little black marker, and it's quite good to do a fine marker. I'm going to put this in as near as I can on here. Take this, so let's make sure that we've got him where we want him, like that, and then I can just do a little bit for his eye, a little bit for his tops of his ears. Now these can be light or dark, it's entirely up to you, but I'm doing them in dark because you want to have a fairly small fine pen, because if you have a too big pen it will smudge it. So I did it with Poscas to start off with, but they smudged. So you can see on there you've now got the little bit of definition of the little mouse now, and what I can do is, if I wanted to, is to just make that with the highlights. So I'm going to cut him out first. So I can just take him through, and I don't need to do round his tail. So you know when you're cutting things out and you go like, oh my goodness, I can't do around a tiny weeny tail. You don't have to, because what you've done is you've stamped it first. So that makes it easier. You've got your whiskers stamped and you've got his little tail stamped. So it means that you don't have to worry about that too much. I've got a bit of sparkle on there. I wonder where that came from. Off of something. So I'm just trying to cut this out carefully. Keep thinking it is too, you know what, I keep cutting through this and I keep thinking I'm cutting through 2 layers here. You know when you sometimes go, this is thicker than I thought it was, that's better. So I can come around on here. Going quiet because I'm concentrating on cutting through. And as I say, what I'm going to do is, where I've got these little dark ones, I'm going to change them for lighter ones. but I want to cut it out first because otherwise I'd have to wait for it to dry. And I don't really want to wait for it to dry. Don't mind once it's actually stuck down, but beforehand I'm not. So by doing this, it's just giving a little bit of height. And you can see on here, his little feet have come out beautifully. But if you get the stencil, just be aware that that piece is very, very tiny. So you need to be very careful with it, because otherwise the feet join together, which is what they've done in this. But it won't matter, because as I'm doing this, it's going to come in perfectly, and it's going to just go on here like that. So you've got your little mouse, and you can see how the tail and the whiskers, you don't need to do anything else with it. Okay, so I'm going to stick this down first, because then it'll give it a little bit of depth on there. And you could just have it one layer. I just quite like to have a second layer with this mouse. It makes it almost look like it's a stamped image that you have then cut out. And I think it's so clever doing stencils like this. I really do. You know, I've had stencils before, you know, with sort of butterflies and or ones that you can emboss, and they're always rather fun, but they're not what I would call a realistic stencil. Whereas this looks exactly like a little mouse, and you've got its little whiskers and things like that. So I want to have, as I said, these little pieces. So this, I'm just going to make sure it's quite fine. So I just want to have this little piece on here done in white like that, and I just want this little piece in white. So I'm just going over it, because then I know exactly where it is, and it'll give, it won't be bright because I don't want it bright, but it'll just give a little bit of definition in there. Now the only thing we've got to decide is what colour are we going to do the pretty flowers. And I think I'm going to do them in a sort of series of pinks, I think, this time, because that will sort of brighten it up a bit. Now, let me have a look and see what pinks I've got in here that I'd quite like to use. So this is a pale pink blend. I want to, there's a dusky one I've got somewhere, antique pink. I think that's what I want to use. I might use a little bit of this. These are Spectrum Noir tri-blends, so you get a light, medium and dark on them, which I think are rather good. So I like them. And I'm going to choose, I think, the middle one of this, and we'll see, because I think that that will just make it look a bit now. I don't want to do all of it. Okay, so that's the okay, that's the medium, and then I'm going to do the other bit in the light. Like that. Don't know whether it comes out that. Oh yes, it will. I think it will once it's dried a bit. Let's do these ones in the medium. I'm just going to go around and do all these bits first. You can fast forward on this bit if you want. I just wanted to get this colour to come in. I really like the way that this has come out with doing a real pale behind. I might do a few like this because I really quite like that, getting the wreath all the way round, but just doing it with just a little bit of colour. So you've got it pale and obviously doing it with the same colour as the mouse, or in a neutral tone. I think it looks quite sweet. So I'm just going to take this round on here. And the good thing is that because the whiskers are done in watercolour and the I'm using alcohol eggs, it means that they're not going to smudge, which is good. So I'm just literally bottoms and tops of these, and then going around to the other one. There we go. And that's the last one. On there. Right, so now I need to just find the light, and then I'm just going to do the inside of this in the light. I'm doing it quite quickly. But it just blends those colours in, but also you've got a bit of pale as well as the dark, because you don't want it to be all one colour. You want a little bit of light and shade in there. So by doing it in two different tones, and again, you know, use what you've got. If you haven't got alcohol markers, use pencils, anything to just give it a little bit of colour. But you can see how beautiful this stamp is, and all I've used is the one stamp and the stencil, and you're getting a really lovely look. So let's just take this round on here. And as I say, if you didn't want to do the stenciling inside, you could just put a sentiment or something like that. I love little mice. I think they're really sweet. And to do him in, you know, little brown field mouse, I think he's beautiful. Okay, last one. And by doing it in this sort of pink, which is like an antique pink, it's giving a nice sort of neutral look. It's not overly fussy. Look at that. I think that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I love the little mouse in there as well. Now I'm going to put this onto a craft card, because that will work perfectly. So this is going to be the craft card like that, which will make it work beautifully. Now this is, I've done it 5 by 5, so I need to actually put a mount on here as well, don't I? So let me have a look and see what I've got that I could put as a mount, because I don't normally show you these bits, but I know that some of you, you know, enjoy seeing the whole process. So I think I would probably put another sort of neutral, but maybe a little bit paler neutral. I've got quite a few neutral colours in here, so I'm going to try and see what colour neutrals I've got that will work. I think I want something that's a little bit darker. So what about that? Will this work in on here? And on there, yes, I think it will. I think that will work nicely. So I'll take that out. I could do it in a pink to pick up the pink of the flowers. Let me just have a quick look and see what we think is going to be better. Have I got a pink in here that will pick up the flowers? I might do. The flowers were sort of a neutrally pink. I don't know whether I've got a pink that will match actually. Needs to be quite a pastel-y pink, doesn't it? Have I got a pastel-y pink? Maybe. I'm just taking one out here to just see. Oops. Might be a little bit bright, we'll see. So that will be the brown on here. That makes the flowers pop quite nicely, doesn't it? Or let's take these flowers with a bit more of a pop and do it in this sort of pink. And I've got another sort of a rosier. So let's put this on here and see that. Yeah, it's a bit twee, I think. Or I could take it in a more of a rosy pink. Put it in that way. And that might work. But no, I want to keep it with the neutrals so that those flowers actually pop quite a lot. So I'm going to put these in with, let me just put those back in the drawer. So this has got to be 5 1/4, hasn't it? Because that's 5 by 5, so I want this 5 1/4. So let me just take a 5 1/4 from here. 5 1/4. There we go. I'll do 5 1/4. So I don't always do mounts, but because I did this with my positioning tool, I'd done the to do the wreath, I'd done it at yes, you see that's going to look lovely because that matches completely with the brown of the mouse. Then we'll put this on the craft card like that. I think. Don't even know if I want to do it on the craft card now. I might do it on the white. Let's have a white one and see. There we go. Let's take a white one. Oh no, these are coloured ones. I don't want a coloured one. Sorry, I'm faffing about in my drawer to get my, I always have my mounts ready because they're ready bought ones. So these are quite nice. Okay, let's try this one. So do I put it on there? Like that. Okay, so we've got two different looks. We've got that, very clean and white, or we've got this. I do like the craft card actually. I think the craft card just makes it look just a little bit nicer, doesn't it? So I think I'm going to put him on the craft card, and then what I can do is to put a few little sentiments or something like that on there. Don't know quite what, because sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I really just like him as he is. I think he looks really sweet. So I'm going to leave it like that. I'm not going to mount it or anything now because, as you know, I try and cut something out of my mounts so that I don't waste them. But I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoyed showing how to use the little stencil to make him really three-dimensional. So as always, please stay safe and well, please be kind, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye bye.